Thank you for joining us for this look at the best original reporting from KPBS News this week. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Coming up, law enforcement leaving San Diego, why Riverside County is having success in recruiting local cops. Meet a Ukrainian mom and her 2 kids, now refugees, who found a safe haven in San Diego. And squeezed by high gas prices and no reliable bus service, families in North County struggle with the costs of getting their kids to school. It's not just masking the other COVID rules that are easing. San Diego is now granting more leniency on vaccines as well. This all comes as the U.S. inches closer to a grim milestone of 1 million COVID-related deaths. KPBS health reporter Matt Hoffman explains why hundreds are now being granted vaccine exemptions.
It's great news.
Jesse Connor is president of the San Diego City Firefighters Association. He says during negotiations about the vaccine mandate, the city told them that exemptions would be allowed, but details weren't clear, and that put some employees in tough spots. He says news about the exemptions is a relief.
A relief for a lot of those folks who thought that they may be out of a job, right? Because when you are a firefighter for 15 years and you have a family and children relying on you, you have mortgage payment or all those other bills, and suddenly you're faced with the possibility that you might lose your career. That's incredibly stressful.
Just under 800 city employees are being notified that their religious or medical exemptions have been approved. 15 requests were denied, and there's still some 200 people that are waiting to hear back.
I think it's a positive sign. A lot of employees were concerned.
Rodney Fowler is the president of the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, Local 127. He wasn't sure until this week that religious exemptions would be allowed at all.
We didn't want to just have a situation where employees were told to go through a process that the city was never going to consider seriously. So I don't know what prompted the change of fortune or the reversal that the pathway that the city headed down.
San Diego Mayor Todd Gloria says the plan all along was to allow medical and religious exemptions.
The question was how we were going to do it.
Gloria says the mandate has driven the city's employee vaccination rate up.
We went from 69% of our employees being vaccinated to over 90%. What that means is that our employees are safer, their coworkers are safer.
Some city employees have left because of the mandate, and there are at least 30 facing termination for noncompliance. They're people who haven't said if they are vaccinated or submitted any exemption requests.
I don't want to lose any employee over this. I don't want anyone to. I want folks to get vaccinated, and if not, I want them to follow the protocols that we put in place to protect them and their coworkers. We may lose some folks, but the truth is we've already lost people to COVID.
The city's vaccination mandate has faced legal challenges. Those who have gotten medical or religious exemptions will need to be tested for COVID once a week or face termination. Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
COVID mandates are why local law enforcement agencies are seeing a jump in resignations. Kitty Alvarado went to Riverside County, where many of those cops are ending up.
This is Deputy Darnell Calhoun, one of Riverside County Sheriff's Department's new hires.
Welcome to Riverside County Sheriff's Department.
Appreciate it, man.
And while he's just meeting some of his colleagues for the first time, he's no rookie. He comes with 3 years of experience in law enforcement from a department that's considered top-notch, the San Diego Police Department.
I'm glad that I can be here and be a part of the community.
He says he loved his colleagues in San Diego and already knew the city well. Then things started to change.
And a lot of people started to leave due to a lot of the vaccination status stuff that I won't really get into. So it took a hard hit on my station.
Calhoun is vaccinated himself, but he left SDPD for several reasons, including low morale and an increasing workload. And that, he says, is a problem when you're doing an already dangerous job.
And yeah, it's rough. That's not something I wish on anyone.
Sergeant Jared Wilson is the president of the San Diego Police Officers Association.
There is essentially unlimited overtime for officers to work right now, but they're burnt out and we go a lot of positions that are unfilled.
He says the force should have 2,000 officers, but they're down to just 1,700 available for patrol, thanks to a combination of factors including retirements and resignations to take other jobs.
Our officers are hot commodities.
He says this is having an impact on crime. So far this year, homicide rates are up 80% over last year.
I've never seen homicide rates skyrocket this quickly, this fast, in just the first 2 months of this year. Certainly not in my 15 years as a police officer.
And response times are getting longer.
A priority 1 call, which is something like a burglary in progress, a violent attack in progress, an assault, or a fight in progress, those response times are in excess of 30 minutes to get a police officer to you.
I feel very, very bad for the other agencies.
Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco says his department is reaping the rewards of officers leaving large city forces like SDPD.
If you think you have what it takes, I have a tan and green uniform with your name on it.
He says last year they hired fewer than 20 officers from other departments, and this year there's already more than 60 in some stage of the hiring process. Nearly 20 of them are from San Diego County agencies, already trained and ready to hit the streets.
Ready?
Ready.
All right, let's go.
We are just overwhelmed at the level of experience and training that we're getting. We have SWAT team members, we have canines that are coming over, we have aviation people that are coming over.
The Riverside County Sheriff's Department does not mandate vaccines, but Bianco says the background checks are still rigorous and he won't hire officers with a history of disciplinary issues. But so far, the ones applying are as good as they get.
So far, that's all we are finding. We are finding stellar employees from these other agencies that are leaving simply because of the vaccine mandate at their agency. And we're, quite frankly, we're getting a huge reward.
Calhoun says he's glad to work closer to home and not have to commute 90 minutes one way. But he says San Diego could have done more to keep officers in its ranks.
Obviously, if you bump everyone's pay up a little bit more, if you pay into their retirement a little bit more, things like that, that would go a long ways.
Union President Jared Wilson hopes a more competitive contract will stop the hemorrhaging and attract good officers.
This isn't just about the vaccine mandates. That is the #1 thing that pushed people out the door. But we also have vaccinated officers leaving now because they're underpaid and they're overworked.
Bianco says even with the transfers, his department is breaking even and is looking to hire 450 more deputies. Kitty Alvarado, KPBS News.
A Ukrainian teacher and her kids are among the refugees who made it to San Diego in recent weeks. KPBS education reporter Angie Perez tells us about their escape and how they're being cared for by the generosity of a host family.
This is distance learning to the extreme. Olga Kovalchuk speaks 5 languages and is a teacher and translator back in her hometown of Cherkasy, Ukraine. Now she's a kindergarten teacher to her 6-year-old son Ruslan, using internet lessons and Wi-Fi in this Carmel Valley kitchen.
Now we don't go to any school here. I would like my children to be permitted to school as quickly as possible and to adapt.
Olga fled Ukraine with 3 of her children, her father, brother, and their families. The other family members made it to Los Angeles, while Olga and her kids made it here to San Diego County, traveling 6,400 miles. Anything to get away from the war and the prison of their basement.
Some basements now in Ukraine are equipped with Wi-Fi and internet, and maybe there are some possibilities to learn sitting in the basement.
Her family is now living with Carolyn and Zach O'Neill in their 4-bedroom house in Carmel Valley. The O'Neills are empty nesters with 2 grown children and extra space they were happy to share with refugees on the run to safety.
It's just nice having the little kids and Max in the house and just trying to find them. There's never going to be a normal routine for them again, I don't believe, but just to bring some normalcy.
And it's not just us. Everybody wants to help. We just need to find how do we do it, in a loving way.
Olga's oldest son, Max, is 15 years old. He speaks English and is doing his best to adapt. His 9-year-old sister, Sophia, is missing. The day they fled, she was with her father and did not make it to the Ukrainian border in time.
I miss my friends, I miss Ukraine, but now I'm not in danger and my family is in safety.
Despite the tragedy unfolding in Ukraine, there is hope and some joy in this family's story. Olga and her son Max say they are thrilled to be in the beautiful Southern California weather they've heard so much about. The family will stay with the O'Neills temporarily. Olga's next goal is her children's education. Then she needs to find a job.
I can't predict the tomorrow's day because the situation can change rapidly and radically. We believe in God, and I hope that everything will be okay. We just pray.
Two families and faith will help make this home for now. MG Perez, KPBS News.
Other refugees are not as fortunate. This week marked 2 years since asylum was cut drastically at the southern border due to the pandemic. Gustavo Solis met with activists who say it's time for those restrictions to end.
End Title 42! End Title 42!
Title 42 was first implemented by the Trump administration in March 2020. It allows officials to use the pandemic as a justification for turning away asylum seekers at the southern border. But most of the pandemic restrictions along the border have now been lifted. Activists are calling for an end to Title 42, which has kept thousands of vulnerable migrants from getting a fair hearing for their asylum cases. Lindsay Kozlowski is the executive director of the Immigrant Defenders Law Center.
Today, the U.S. government continues to unlawfully expel individuals and families with absolutely no due process.
More recently, border officials have exempted Ukrainian war refugees from Title 42. Kozlowski says migrants from Central America and the Caribbean deserve that same exemption.
But I think we know that there has been a systematic blocking of Black and brown asylum seekers at the border, and that is the root of Title 42.
Lilian Serrano is the co-chair of the Southern Border Communities Coalition. She says Title 42 perpetuates stereotypes that certain immigrants are a public health threat.
More than a year of the now Biden-Harris administration, we continue to see this racist notion that Black and brown immigrants, asylum seekers, are bringing disease across the border.
Serrano is among the many who say the continuation of Title 42 is an example of the Biden administration failing to fulfill a campaign promise to make our immigration system more humane.
All of us remember that's part of his campaign promise of the Biden and Harris administration was to restore asylum, to bring back humanity and dignity into our immigration system. We don't see that.
Gustavo Solis, KPBS News.
Votes are being cast for an open state assembly seat in one of San Diego's most diverse districts. Jacob Ayer talked with 3 of the candidates, 2 Democrats and 1 Republican, who want to represent parts of the South Bay and Sacramento.
The Assembly District 80 seat opened up in January when Lorena Gonzalez resigned to take a job with the California Labor Federation. 3 candidates are in the race: Democrats David Alvarez and Georgette Gomez, and Republican Lincoln Picard. Gonzalez has endorsed Gomez.
I am proud to have the support of former Assemblywoman Lorena Gonzalez, somebody that did a lot in behalf of our district.
For Gomez, this is a return to politics. She was president of the San Diego City Council and ran an unsuccessful campaign for Congress in 2020. During that run, she was criticized for not reporting $100,000 of income on her tax returns, and that criticism is being made again in this election.
There wasn't me trying to do a roundaround on taxes. It was literally a mistake, an intentional mistake, but I fixed it right away.
But she says that the current anti-Gomez mailers are being pushed by oil, tow truck, and insurance companies, funding one of her opponents, David Alvarez. She says that's because some of the key points from her platform focus on the climate crisis, as well as affordable housing and income inequality.
On advancing solutions to improve our transit system, to continue bringing more affordable housing, even as someone that is in the private sector now. To me, that's where my commitment and what I'm grounded on, and that's never going to change no matter where I'm at.
Campaign finance records show Alvarez has received donations from those special interests that Gomez mentions, among others. He says Gomez is being supported by Sacramento politicians who don't want things to change. In a written statement, he told KPBS, they are doing this because they know they can control her, that if she is elected, nothing will change. By contrast, I have run a 100% positive campaign based on the issues. Like Gomez, Alvarez is a Democrat, a former San Diego City Council member, and a native of Barrio Logan.
People feel like Sacramento often forgets them, and they want to make sure that education's a priority, that higher education's a priority, that crime gets addressed, as our South Bay communities and San Diego have seen an increase in crime over the last year.
Lincoln Picard is the 3rd candidate in the race. a Republican running in a heavily Democratic district.
The odds are against me. The smart money will be on one of the other candidates because there's such a disparity in the amount. The demographics are totally different in our district.
His platform focuses on the cost of living and running a company in California, along with education and water management, among other issues.
It would take a lot of voters out there that are sick and tired of the Democratic rules and regulations, which are driving so many businesses out of our state, which means they're taking jobs with them.
The special election is only to fill out the remainder of Lorena Gonzalez's term. If one candidate gets 50% plus one of the vote, they'll win the seat outright. But if no one does, there will be a runoff on June 7th, the same day as a regular election for the next term, which begins in December and covers a redrawn District 80 thanks to the last census. The same three candidates are running in that race too. Here's a last word from each on the issues that matter to them, starting with David Alvarez.
Education, crime on the rise, homelessness issues, they matter to the people in both the old district and the new district. So we're talking about the same issues, we're having those conversations, and it just means that in June we'll have to find a way to talk to more people.
Georgette Gomez.
At the end of the day, it's about building healthy communities, making sure that there's housing that is affordable, making sure that people have clean air, making sure that there are better jobs and our education system is robust.
And Lincoln Picard.
If you care about gas taxes and you care about school choice, you care about the Second Amendment, you care about some of these real important values that make America what it is, I ask for your vote.
Early voting is underway now and runs through April 4th, or voters can go to the polls on April 5th. Jacob Ayer, KPBS News.
Here are some of the most read stories this week at kpbs.org. Supermarket workers are voting whether to authorize a strike. We should hear results in the coming days. Local high school students watch Supreme Court confirmation hearings for a real-time lesson in U.S. history. And Governor Newsom's proposal for cash rebates in response to high gas prices. Parents in North County are feeling the pinch of gas prices, especially in places where not all schools provide buses. Tanya Thorne met with parents who say the cost of carpooling is adding up.
Every morning, 4 middle schoolers pack into Natalie Sanchez's car for a ride to school. She drives the teens to Cesar Chavez Middle School in Oceanside. That's because the district doesn't provide bus transportation, and many of the parents work early.
I pretty much told the family, you know what, give me what you can. Sometimes they give me 20, sometimes 15, it's what they can. It's single moms, low-income families, and I feel bad taking from them.
But not all carpooling parents are as generous as Sanchez. Rising gas prices are forcing some carpoolers to charge families more for rides.
I've heard of a family paying up to $400 a month for her children to be carpooled.
Maria Infante relied on a carpooling parent to get her daughter to school.
$50 a la semana.
Infante says she was paying $50 per week, but the fee began cutting into her tight budget, and her daughter now takes the city bus. While it is cheaper, her daughter has to be up an hour earlier to get to school on time. But parents with younger children, some that attend different schools, don't have that choice.
Les toca mandarlos solos, que se vayan caminando en la mañana y en la tarde, porque pues no hay suficientes ingresos para pagar, para que les den ride a los niños.
Infante says many parents that can't afford the increasing carpooling fees are having their children walk to and from school. Some schools are miles away from their homes, requiring the students to cross busy intersections and freeway ramps.
No, en bicicleta no, porque hay en la escuela hay veces que los que llevan en carros van muy rápido.
She says even bikes aren't a choice due to the morning rush hour and children at risk of getting hit. We reached out to Oceanside School District to ask about the current transportation for students. In a statement, they said they are in line with state requirements and only providing transportation for certain groups of students. Those in special education, foster students, or students experiencing homelessness, and designated students living on Camp Pendleton. Tanya Thorne, KPBS News.
Many more San Diegans will soon have a choice in the type of energy that they use. KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen explains how it works and how it would affect your SDG&E bill.
San Diego Community Power is a partnership between 6 cities plus the county government aimed at speeding up the transition to renewable energy. Right now, the agency is serving about 70,000 homes and businesses, but that customer base will increase more than tenfold over the next 2 months as the agency enrolls homes in Encinitas, Chula Vista, and San Diego. Customers won't notice any difference except for a line item on their SDG&E bill.
We only control the electricity generation piece of that bill, which is maybe a quarter of your bill total.
Cody Hooven is San Diego Community Power's Chief Operating Officer. Most of what customers pay on their energy bill is for the transmission of electricity, which SDG&E is still responsible for. But for generating that electricity,
and that piece that we control, our rates are about 2% cheaper this year, but they're also about 19% cleaner. So that power is 50% renewable power.
San Diego Community Power has an online tool where you can see how much you might save under the new system.
So click on your choice at the top and go to Compare Service Plans.
For me, the savings was only about 13 cents, again, for cleaner electricity than what SDG&E offers. And for about $1 more per month, I can boost my home's electricity to 100% renewable. Hooven gives me the sales pitch and wins me over.
Yes.
I'm gonna do it, okay. Customers can compare rates and boost their home's electricity to 100% renewable on the agency's website. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
March is Women's History Month, and this week Kitty Alvarado met with those who are celebrating the return of an effort to help women thrive in San Diego.
I'm pleased to announce the City of San Diego is reviving its Commission on the Status of Women.
Mayor Todd Gloria stood in front of the Women's Museum of California, that's yet to open its doors, to announce that the Commission on the Status of Women will once again be looking into what women need to be successful and come up with solutions so they can thrive in the city of San Diego. Gloria said, as much progress that has been made, there's more work to do.
And despite substantial progress over the last several decades, women and girls continue to experience inequality in our society.
The commission was started in 1973, but has been inactive for over 2 decades. Felicia Shaw, the executive director of the Women's Museum, said she was proud to host the event that was long overdue. She has high hopes for this commission.
To start focusing on solutions, strategies, not just a lot of talk, but really getting out there and figuring out where are we stuck, and then coming up with the solutions to keep women moving forward.
San Diego City Council member Vivian Moreno acknowledged the importance of this commission being reborn during Women's History Month. She told a personal story of why the commission is still needed.
When I was running for office back in 2018, I walked 8,000 doors to get elected. One of those doors that I knocked, a man told me, "But can a woman be a city council member?" Guess what? A woman could be a city council member and she could do it pregnant too.
Yeah. And one woman in particular was top of mind during this announcement. Supreme Court Justice nominee Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson.
As an African-American woman, I'm just so proud to see that where she is today, but she stands on the shoulders of a lot of women who've gone before her, trying to open doors, and that's what we want to do. I think the commission should try to open more doors for all women.
Nominations for committee members are now open. Kitty Alvarado, KPBS News.
And finally, a reminder that representation indeed matters. Alexander Nguyen tells us about the latest Disney Pixar movie, Turning Red, and why it's striking a chord with families dealing with type 1 diabetes.
I know, it's a lot.
At its heart, Turning Red is a coming-of-age story about Maylin Lee, a 13-year-old Chinese-Canadian girl going through puberty. It's already earning praises for its depiction of the challenges of controlling teenage emotions and of cultural and generational differences. But for parents of children with type 1 diabetes, there are a few scenes that resonate with them. Blink and you miss it. Notice the blue patch on her arm? The internet sure did. Type 1 diabetes internet community speculate that it's a continuous glucose meter. Some even say it's the exact type that is made by San Diego-based Dexcom.
People recognize Dexcom right away. That's just the impact of the benefits that Dexcom is giving patients living with diabetes every day.
That's Katie Campbell, marketing manager for Dexcom, which makes the device that constantly checks a diabetic person's blood sugar. She also has a son living with type 1 diabetes.
I think sometimes when you have a kid living with type 1, it's really hard to find that representation and find that moment to let him know, hey, there's other people out there like you.
That's exactly how Skylar Frazier felt when she saw the movie.
When I first saw it, I was like, they do that now because they never been doing it.
Skylar's mom, Anicia, says she's been watching the movie nonstop, and they noticed the patch right away.
She was newly diagnosed when we saw that, and it just seemed like everything working together in order to make her feel comfortable.
Anytime that you have a broad representation in pop culture, in the, something that people can see, that just helps children's identity.
Linda Braut is a director at West Ed in San Marcos. She specializes in making education inclusive for children with disabilities and health conditions. She says representation matters.
It does make a difference for people who themselves can see themselves on screen.
Pixar says the inclusion of diabetic characters was intentional, but since the movie was set in the early 2000s, the patch shown is an insulin infusion set. Dexcom device went on the market in 2006. Turning Red can now be streamed on Disney+. Alexander Nguyen, KPBS News.
And we hope that you enjoyed this look at KPBS News this week. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Thanks for joining us.